Someone had sent me a link to a music video about a month and a half ago, I would say. And the person was stressing to me the importance of talking about the kind of influence, the image, and the message in the video and how it is negatively affecting, or shall I say, infecting our youth, particularly the youth of the inner cities, the children who are typically classified as Black, African American, Latino. So I clicked on the link and I didn't even watch the whole thing. I saw about 20 seconds and I was just really disgusted by it. I'm just being honest. I didn't want to give it any energy, and I thought that at some point I will come back and talk about music and how music affects our consciousness and how the social engineers, and you guys need to understand and be very clear on this, there's a lot of social engineering going on, meaning there are people, beings, seen and unseen, who are playing a global game of chess. And they are in very influential positions, and they manipulate events. They manipulate people more so. I would say that they manipulate consciousness. It's really what it's all about. Because if you have control over the most influential systems and programs that affect the pieces on the chessboard, you have great influence. You can manipulate. And when those parts on the chessboard are void of knowledge and consciousness and a higher level of understanding of the game that they are in and how they are being manipulated and moved about on the board, the easier it is for those game players to win. You get where I'm going now. So getting back to what I was saying, this person had asked if I would do a video to talk about the danger of this kind of music and how it is negatively impacting the youth. And in my mind, when I saw the video and what the person asked, I said, yeah, in my mind, that I would come back and do a video on it. So what ended up happening is just life goes on. There's always something needing my attention. I'm getting pulled in many directions and I get distracted. And I almost forget about it because I don't listen to the radio. I don't follow who's the latest hot artist is. I'm not even going to get into why. I don't really follow it. So there wasn't any reminder of me coming back to do a video to talk about this. So what ended up happening is a couple of Saturdays ago, my sister asked me if I would ride with her to drop her kids off to a local roller skate rink in their area. And I said, yeah, I would go. We were just going to drop them off and we were going to go and do something else. So we got there, we found out that they basically wanted escorts 27 years and older to escort anyone in their teens and preteens. The kids really wanted to go, so we just said, okay, we'll go on in, we'll escort them. They charge us a $2 escorting fee. Go figure. Anyway, we go in. My sister and I were just kind of sitting off to the side as music is playing. And what comes on after being there about 45 minutes is this song about I Love the Cocoa. The very song that the person had written me about prior to, it all came back to the forefront of my mind in that moment. Now here's the most interesting thing about it all. Out of all the songs that was played that night, the kids were all singing along. I mean, they were really getting into it. We went to management and we had a talk. We made it very clear, and my sister especially was making it clear that she does not want her children being exposed to that kind of music. And the manager understood. She said she felt the same way, but they never got any complaints up until that point. Just to give you guys a clear point of reference of this particular situation, I'm going to put the video link to that video in the video description box. Now, I've always known that music influences behavior. Some people say, no, music is a reflection of what people are going through. That is true too. But music also influences. I have a cousin who talked about how she would be in her car, and when she hear a song where there's a lot of profanity and is angry and aggressive, she noticed that she's driving aggressively and she becomes very hostile. When people hear songs about sex and getting drugs or engaging in all forms of debauchery, sometimes, yes, there are people who are already doing these things, but let's not be fools in denying that this music also entices and encourages and lure people who would not have ordinarily done it of their own will. This is a free will universe, and everything is based upon contracts and agreements. The social engineers and the puppet masters, so to speak, they set up a system where they put things out and make it look attractive and innocent. They make it look cool and trendy. Just because something appears to be trendy and cool and relevant doesn't mean that it is. I know for a fact, numbers are moved around. Channels are suppressed. More money is put into promotion to put certain content out to make it appear relevant, to gain the interest and the trust with the youth so that the youth agree to receiving based on the perception of being cool, trendy, and being relevant. We're talking about people and beings who understand human consciousness and who studies and knows the human mind far more than the average person. And that's just a fact. Advertisers hire people who are highly trained and highly skilled and highly educated in how the subconscious mind work and how to get people to do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do or buy things that they don't necessarily want or need. This is a fact. To drive my point home a bit further as it relates to how what we hear and even what we see influences our consciousness. How many of you guys ever found yourself either falling to sleep and got caught up in between the wake and sleep state? Or better yet, how many of us have found ourselves waking up from sleep but found ourselves in between the sleep and wake states with either music playing in the background or with the TV on? You guys know that in this state, your mind literally creates visuals and scenes that is playing out in alignment to what you are hearing. That in itself is telling of what we're saying. So when the impressionable minds hear I'm in love with the Coco and they're singing this and they're saying this over and over and over again, and when they see the images in these videos with the drugs and the cocaine and the gun, this in repetition can lure and get us to agree to receive and participate and engage in these things. And when we do that, we become far more controllable, far more easier to manipulate, a much easier pawn in the game of global chess. So any adult who is allowing their children to listen to this stuff, you are failing your children. Let me explain it to you in a different way. If you were out in public and someone just walked up to you and your child with a bag of cocaine and a gun and a bunch of money, and they just, oh, I'm in love with the Coco. I love me some cocaine, and start sniffing it. Or someone comes in front of you and your child half naked and glorifying their sexual proclivity, you would be pissed off. So why are you thinking it's okay to serve it and present it to them by allowing them to watch images and videos and music that is doing it? It's the same thing. I came up at a time when hip-hop was informative. It was fun. Hip-hop was like the CNN of our community. These guys were dropping jewels. They were elevating consciousness. And when they weren't elevating consciousness, they were cleverly giving us metaphors to stimulate our minds, or it would just be fun. Someone saw the positive effect that was having on the youth and decided, no, we're not going to have this. So that's when they came in and hijacked it, and it's been corrupt and going downhill ever since. They've taken soul out of music. They've taken intelligence out of music. And so we have a lot of kids being born deprived of real soul-stirring lyrics, music, and real melody, frequencies to stimulate and elevate. A lot of dollars is obviously being put into promoting to get us to make covenants and contracts in an unconscious state, so we're more prone to get into low vibratory behavior. And it will be at this point when we do these things that are not only dangerous to our consciousness, but dangerous to ourselves, and could put us in a position where we give these controlling forces, particularly the industrial prison complex, reason to come and lock us down. This is social engineering at its finest. It's junk food for the mind consciousness. And it is bait to lure and attract our children into a spiral that's going nowhere but down, and into the clutches of very negative, service to self, wicked forces.